Welcome to Prestige Worldwide, the podcast, a weekly battle of wits, debating everything from horseshoes to hand grenades, all for the privilege to be called right. And now, your hosts, Bobo and Travis.
Hey guys, welcome to Prestige Worldwide, the podcast. I am Travis, and unfortunately, I am Travis alone this week. So we've had a little bit of turn of events here at the Prestige Worldwide headquarters. Bobo has decided to kind of take a step back from the podcast. He informed me a couple days ago that he didn't really have time to do this anymore, and he didn't want to half-ass it. So he decided that he was gonna no longer do it. So I was thinking, okay, well, I guess the podcast is dead because, you know, how am I going to do it by myself? And I really don't have an answer to that question because I'm still kind of trying to process this whole thing and seeing if I still want to continue on with this podcast. I really do love doing it, and so did Bobo. He just, as we've alluded to in the past, he also shows dogs, which is such a weird fucking thing, and I'm not speaking out of turn here. If he was here, I would tell him right to his face. It's a weird thing. I think even he knows it's a weird thing. But he's got a lot. He travels a lot for that, and he travels for work, and so it just started to become, I think, a little too much for him. So at this point, it's just me, and I don't know where I'm gonna go from here. I don't know if actually I don't even know if I'm going to continue doing this. I'm kind of just giving this a shot for this week. See if I can pull this off on my own. If I can keep your interest without somebody else keeping me on task, or giving me some material for me to play off and still make this entertaining, possibly funny. That'd be great. That's my aim to do it. But like I said, I don't know what's gonna happen. I may take a week or two off here coming up while I rethink some of our topics that we had planned out, because behind the scenes here, we plan, what we're going to talk about. We kind of put topics down on a list, and a lot of them have to do with, two people. Well, now that I'm only one person, that throws a little monkey wrench in this whole thing. So I'm going to try to figure out what I'm going to do here. I may try to bring in some guests to guest host. Who knows? Maybe Bobo will be back. I know he's in a busy place right now, and maybe when things settle down, he'll rethink it. He'll come in and we'll pick up where we left off and doing all kinds of stupid shit that you're used to. So that's kind of what's going on with the podcast. Again, if we don't put out one next week, or if I don't put out one next week, just know that more may be coming in the future. I'm just not 100% sure right now. What I do encourage you to do is go to our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. We use Twitter, but not as much. Or I guess I use Twitter, but not as much. So Facebook and Instagram are the biggest ones that we use at this point. So go and follow us on there if you want to keep up. If you haven't done so already, that's where I'll let you know what's going on, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, I'm just not 100% sure. It's kind of a new turn of events, and haven't had a whole lot of time to process this, but I'm recording this Monday morning before the next episode needs to come out. So I'm just kind of throwing this together and kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And but I want to hear from you. Is it worth me going on? Is it worth me doing this? Like I said, I enjoy doing it, but if it's not funny or if it's not entertaining, I don't want to wait. I don't want to bore you, and I don't want to whittle our listeners down to zero just because I can't carry this by myself. But who knows? Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. The reason why I'm also doing this is I had some topics that I wanted to discuss with Bobo that I felt like, well, you know what? I can just kind of roll those into something that I can speak about, and maybe it'll work. So I'm going to try it out. First thing I really wanted to talk about today was a couple weeks ago, the Insane Clown Posse had a rally. And if you're not aware of this, I think we've talked about this in the past, but the Insane Clown Posse is a rap group, and they had a rally because the followers of the band, they call themselves Juggalos and Juggalettes. They got classified by the FBI as a gang and gang members. So I'm gonna let the guys from ICP. I have a little clip here. They're gonna kind of explain what's going on.
In 2011, the FBI released something called the Gang Assessment List, and what it was a top 10 list of, like, I guess the most notorious gangs in the country. And you had like the Crips and the Bloods and the MS-13 and the Aryan Nation, and Juggalos were on there. Now, people that follow our music call themselves Juggalos. This is not a name we gave them. It's a name that organically came up from the people. Juggalos all wear the same thing. A lot of them wear this logo, which is our record company logo, which also sort of doubles as a symbol for Juggalo. This is no different than a AC/DC tattoo or a Prince tattoo. This is a tattoo. You could have that tattoo and you'll be entered into a gang database. And if you're sentenced for a crime, you're sentenced as a gang member because you're waving this flag.
And it's more than crimes. People are losing their jobs. People are getting fired for being a Juggalo because their employers are like, that's a gang.
This is America.
Gang members working here.
You
could be in a custody battle for the children, and their ex-spouse or whoever they had this child with, they could be the most upstanding citizen ever, but they're a Juggalo.
They're a gang member.
Like, that's a gang. You're a gang member.
Your spouse's attorney can say, Your Honor, this person is a gang member in the eyes of the government, and it's true.
So that was Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. Yeah, those are their names. They were explaining what was going on and why this rally was taking place. So, as reports came out, about 1,500 Juggalos and Juggalettes showed up, and also at the same time, a pro-Trump rally was happening. So I don't know why I just threw that one in there, but I find that funny that I would assume that there's some cross contamination, if you will, of the two groups. I would imagine some of the Juggalos are Trump supporters and vice versa, but I don't know. I really haven't seen much about that. But what I wanted to talk about is the classification of a Juggalo and a Juggalette being a gang member or being a gang. And so I kind of I was looking it up and I was doing some research here, and I did find some funny, I guess funny to me, examples of Juggalos committing, murder and crimes. And so one I found here was a Juggalo cut off his girlfriend's finger, and or her pinky finger, in a ritual, I suppose, quote unquote ritual, to honor a dead member of the ICP. I don't know who died. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe nobody died. Maybe they were just it was just a drug fueled finger chopping, I guess. We'll go with. I don't know. But so the guy did it with the girl's permission. I don't know if that makes it any better, but he took a machete and cut off her pinky. They drank some of the blood, of course. Why, if you cut off a finger, why wouldn't you drink some of the blood? I mean, it's there. They stored the finger in the freezer, and I guess they planned on eating the finger later, which, okay, times are tough, man. Like, I guess eating a finger is not a big deal when you drink some of the blood. I don't know. It's not a huge stretch for me to see where they went, but okay, we'll go, we'll go with that it's perfectly okay to chop off a finger and eat it for the purpose of this argument. But anyways, they tried to stop the bleeding of the finger because obviously it's going to bleed by cauterizing the wound with a cigarette. And when that didn't work, they used a blowtorch. Jesus Christ. The decision-making process here went askew. Oh, I mean, right around when they decided to cut off a finger. But I mean, it just, let's try to cauterize this wound with a cigarette, and then, that doesn't work. What's the next best thing? A fucking blowtorch. I found that kind of funny. There's a couple other examples here of like Juggalos and Juggalettes that have actually murdered people. The article that I did find did make the distinction, though, that most of these crimes were not committed with guns. It was mostly meat cleavers or knives, machetes in that case. So they're not they're not a gun violent gang, I suppose. But like I said, there are examples of juggalos and juggalettes committing crimes and committing crazy crimes, murder, cutting off fingers, that kind of stuff. But I would have to say, when it comes to people liking music and fans of music, there's going to be bad apples in every group of people. Maybe these are a little worse than what you normally get. Although, if anybody's ever looked at black metal is kind of it takes death metal even further, and it's pretty popular in Europe, in the Scandinavian countries. At least that's where it originated. They got pretty violent as well, and it's not just their fans. The bands got pretty violent as well. But I guess my point there would be, with every group of fans, or every group of fans, you're gonna have some bad apples, and you're gonna have, I'm sure there's a believer out there that has committed murder. I don't know for sure, and I don't know if you're gonna commit murder. I don't know that you start yelling out, "I'm a believer" right before you get thrown into jail with a bunch of criminals. I don't think that's gonna go over well, but you never know. I don't know. Some people may have believer tattoos. I am not a believer, but I'm sure there are some out there that have committed violent crimes. So when I listen to the members of ICP kind of talk about this classification as a gang member, or as a gang, I found myself in kind of a weird predicament. I found myself agreeing with juggalos, which I never thought I would say in my life. Never thought. It sounds weird to me to say that. It doesn't feel right. But it is the truth. I do agree with them in the sense that they shouldn't be judged by the music they listen to. I don't think that you can really say that a gang is, or I don't think you can say that this is a gang. I don't see how that is possible. Now, again, I'm not the FBI, and I don't have statistics in front of me. I don't know what the impetus was for putting them on this list. I don't know what that was. I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't. I'm sure they know something I don't. I'm sure they know a lot of things that I don't. But it just doesn't seem right that, as they pointed out, I guess when I first heard about this, that they were on a gang list, I was like, okay, well, no big deal. They're on a fucking gang list. Nobody gives a shit about that. But then when I heard about, or when they started explaining that, people have lost jobs and custody hearings, this kind of shit is brought up. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's kind of fucked up. I would hate if I went, if I had a job and they came to me and was like, you like punk rock music, and we don't like that, so you're fired. Or you like punk rock music and that is a gang, you're fired. That would feel really fucked up to me. That would be a real big problem for me too, because it just doesn't it doesn't necessarily define who I am. Now, I don't have any tattoos of any bands on my body, and I don't know that makes it better or worse. I don't have any stickers on my car from any bands. I don't really wear shirts from any bands that I like. So does that make it any better? Does that make it hidden, or does that make me less of a fan? I don't think it makes me less of a fan. So I don't think if I was into this type of music, you could consider me a gang member, because it doesn't suit who I am. And I would assume that this is for the large majority of their fan base as well. But who knows? maybe they are, like I said, maybe I don't know everything that's going on here, but from my perspective, this all just doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't feel right. It seems like it seems too easy to, I don't know the right word here, to judge. Maybe the word's judge there. I don't know. It seems too easy to judge these people and to lump them in. I don't know. I feel bad for juggalos, I suppose, because it like I said, it doesn't seem right. However, I'm not one of them, so fuck them, right? Yeah. What if it doesn't affect me? Just put my head in the sand and it doesn't affect me. So who gives a shit, right? I don't know that we can live. I don't know that we can live in a society like that. I personally choose not to because I don't think it's right. So there's kind of my stance on Insane Clown Posse. I don't know. Am I wrong? Tell me. Go to our Facebook page, go to Instagram, comment on something or make a post. PW the podcast is, Instagram.com. Anyways, that's the identifier. But tell me, am I wrong on this? I honestly, I don't have Bobo here to tell me that I am. And I honestly have no idea what he would think. I actually kind of think he would agree with me to a certain degree. Although we do find them funny, the Juggalo is funny, and we do find them ridiculous. I did look up too. I will throw this in there. I did look up to see if there was any instances of violence at the gathering of the Juggalos. They do one every year. I think this year was, I don't know. This was, I think maybe 20 years, maybe something more than that. Anyways, but I did try to look it up and see if there was any violence or anything reported like that. I couldn't find anything like that. So maybe they're not as violent as we think, but maybe they are. I have no idea. But am I wrong? Should they be listed as a gang? I know they're weird. Their music sucks. Listen, you're not gonna get any argument out of that. Insane Clown Posse is not for me. I don't think they should be a gang. So moving on, I also wanted to talk today because we had a bit of a controversy pop up over the weekend with the whole NFL thing. And I know it's kind of being beaten to death with everything. I mean, it's everywhere you look. I mean, yesterday, I'm a Pittsburgh fan. I like the Penguins. I like the Steelers. I don't give a shit about baseball, so fuck the Pirates. But the Steelers, when I watch them, they didn't come out on the field. A lot of their fans didn't like that. They didn't come out on the field for the national anthem. Excuse me. A lot of their fans didn't like that. Yesterday morning, I was looking at social media and looking at all the comments from the different owners around the league. And there was a couple of them from, I know the Colts that I read one, the New England Patriots, which you'll never hear me give them any praise, but I heard from the New England Patriots, all of their statements were really good. Were really, I even thought Roger Goodell, he had a nice little biting comment without mentioning Trump's name in it. I thought all of them were an appropriate response. And then I read the Steelers statement, and it was very watered down. I don't know. I don't know if, I can't tell if there was a air of we don't care about this topic or we just don't want to ruffle any feathers. But because, obviously Pittsburgh is a very blue collar town and, people are going to get upset over this kind of stuff. But I was kind of disappointed in their response. I mean, me personally, I don't understand why people are upset over this whole kneeling thing. I really don't get it. And if somebody can explain it to me, please do, because from my perspective, these players are kneeling because they have a cause, and their cause notwithstanding, like I don't want to diminish their cause at all, but I also really don't care what their cause is, in the sense of if they want to kneel during the national anthem, that's certainly within their rights. Honestly, for me, it's certainly permissible. I don't care if you feel so passionately about something that you find during the national anthem is when you need to take action and call some sort of attention to whatever it is that you find unjust in the world. Okay, fine. That's okay. I mean, a lot of people, I was kind of trying to think about this, about this and kind of, I don't know, maybe equate it to something a little bit more personal for us. I'm sure when people have been in arguments, and if you listen to this podcast, and you are right now, but in the past, with Bobo and I, we swear. We have no problem holding back words, with this. And really, we don't have a problem with any of the words that we say on this podcast, obviously. But there are certain times where a curse word, it is, you use it as emphasis. You also use them to kind of, I don't know, shock people into actually hearing what you're saying. There have been times in my life where like something's been upsetting me, and with like people, and you're like, okay, stop it. Please stop doing that. All right, fucking knock it off. And you use that to kind of shock them. Oh, why are they cursing like that? So I kind of look at it that way as far as this kneeling is. I'm sure before this kneeling happened, what they were talking, I think this all started with police brutality, if I remember correctly. And people have been talking about police brutality for, since as much as I can remember, since the 90s, obviously, with Rodney King. I mean, that was the biggest one. But people have always been talking about it, but I don't know, maybe kneeling during a national anthem is something that will kind of wake people up. And obviously it's been on the minds of people as high up as the presidency. Donald Trump found a reason or a way to jam it into one of his rallies in Alabama. I don't understand why he found this time to start railing against. I don't understand what his problem is. I really don't. I don't get why this is so offensive to people. I have patriotism in me. I love America just as much as the next guy. I don't have a problem with it. However, I'm objective enough to know that America has problems, blah blah blah. We can go on with that. It's not, we're not Star Spangled Awesome around here. America has problems, and police violence is one of them. Obviously, racism has popped up in the as being an issue that we thought was kind of, I don't know, maybe dying down. Maybe that's just me. But we have our problems, and but it doesn't make me love my country any less. But I don't understand people getting so fucking pissed off about somebody kneeling during a national anthem. I mean, really, does that hurt you? Does that hurt you? Does that and people say, well, think of the veterans. Think of the veterans, right? The veterans. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's veterans out there that think, well, this is exactly what freedom's about. This is kind of like the whole burning the flag debate. Should you be able to burn the flag? Well, would I go out and burn a flag? I have no reason to, and honestly, I don't. I don't see the power. Well, I see the power in it, but I don't see the reason for me to go out and burn a flag. So no, I'm not going to go burn a flag. But should somebody else be able to? Yeah, fuck it. Why not? I mean, it's people of religion that their Bible or whatever their version of the Bible is that get so pissed off that some asshole preacher in Florida will burn the Quran and it sets off Muslim people around the world. Some dickhead will make a painting of Jesus at a strip club or some shit like that. And people get so pissed off. Well, okay. Like, you're not doing it. So why is it offending you so badly? You're not the one going to hell. You're not the one that is being unpatriotic. You're not the one that is doing any of this. And so why do we need to stop them? I don't understand. Like, if somebody else doesn't have a problem with it, well, that's them, and that's fine, because you're not them, and and I'm not you. I don't know what I don't know what your threshold is, but I know what my threshold is. So don't get on me for burning a flag or kneeling during a fucking national anthem. Really, like again, why does it bother people so much? Is it just it's challenging their sense of morals or their sense of patriotism or whatever? It's rocking their core that they have to disagree with this because this just cannot stand. Well, you know what? There's a lot of other shit happening that probably shouldn't stand that you just don't give a shit about. And I mean, when it comes to kneeling at a flag, my father is a veteran. And I to be honest with you, if I thought I wouldn't want to offend him, I have no desire to shit on his service. I'm proud of his service. I'm proud of him for serving. It's not something I did. It's not something I don't know that I think I could do. So it's not within me to serve in the military for whatever reason. But I'm proud of him for doing it. And I honestly don't know where he stands on this whole kneeling thing. I have an idea, but we haven't really talked about it. But it shouldn't offend him, in my opinion. Maybe it does. And it's okay to be offended by things. That's not the point of what I'm trying to say here. It's okay to be offended by things. Everybody's offended by something, not me per se. It's very hard to offend me. As you have listened to this podcast, we have said some shit and done some shit that other people would cringe at, mainly my wife, and I just don't bat an eyelash at it because it doesn't offend me. I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff. But anyways, but people have every right to be offended. Every right. If that's what you want to do, fine. Or if that offends you, that's fine. But at what point do you say, okay, I'm offended, but it's just not for me? Like, I guess back to the whole Juggalo thing. I hate their music. I'm offended by their music. But I understand other people are not. Some people really like it. Some people, really enjoy it. And that's okay. That's okay for them. So let them be. And I guess the wrap up here is, so let the kneelers be. Let the people that want to kneel at games do their thing. Because that's their right. And really, I don't know. Again, tell me if I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it. Am I wrong on this? Obviously, I don't think I am. But maybe I am. Who knows? Maybe you have a difference of opinion. I'd like to hear about that. I'd like to engage. Now that it's just me. Well, for right now that it's just me, I'd like to have a little bit more engagement if I can from you guys. So I'm asking you. I know we say this every time. Give us a call. The number 747 banging 747-226-4464. I know we plead for you at the end of every episode. Please call in, but I kind of need you now. So I'd really like to. I want to hear this. If you think I'm wrong, tell me why. Because I'm curious, and maybe you can change my mind. I'd like you to try. Because if I'm wrong, I don't know. I just want to hear.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And now it's end times.
I'm going to still keep going with end times here. And we've had some discussions in the past couple weeks about Twitch. And we've heard that Frank is... Well, we talked about Frank and how he watches Twitch and how much he liked it. And I wanted to know what he was actually watching and what he was spending his time on. So I got an email from Frank, and I'm going to read that to you right now. Dear Travis and Bobo, I found myself at work on Tuesday listening to your podcast, only to find out that my quote-unquote buddy, Tim, had egregiously thrown me under the bus regarding your past comments on Twitch. As I listened, I was shocked to hear that apparently I'm a huge Twitch lover and that was very offended by both of your positions on the subject. I just want to state right now that this is completely false. In fact, my comment to Tim was about it was so he could come to Twitch's defense, since that's all he watches all day, every day. I come home from work, he's watching Twitch. Every time I go to his room, he's watching Twitch. I would say that 90% of his TV viewing comes from YouTube and Twitch. The remaining 10% is shitty Hallmark movies. Don't get me fucking started. My DVR is 100% full of that crap. When Tim first introduced me to Twitch, I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard. Why would you watch people play video games instead of playing them yourself? I will admit that I have at least come to understand the appeal of it, even if I rarely watch it myself. As Tim told me, it's more about the community and watching particular streamers that you like rather than the game itself. It's something to have on the background while you're doing something else. This is not in the email, but I'm guessing Tim is jerking off. Personally, I use it to catch up on old games in a series that I'm about to start. For instance, I've never played any of the Resident Evil games, but I'd like to eventually get into the series. I can't play most of the old ones since they're on outdated consoles, so I'll probably watch somebody else play through to catch up on all the stories and lore. I did the same thing with the original 2 Fallout games when Fallout 4 came out. Even then, I'm usually watching their old streams posted on YouTube rather than Twitch itself. I just thought I would try to clear this up. Sincerely, the apparently pissed off Twitch lover, Frank. P.S. Fuck you, Tim. So, thank you, Frank, for sending in this email. It was, when I first was reading, I was just laughing out loud. It's great. I love that Tim threw you under the bus. Although I will say I may have come to my own conclusions about that, because he sent me a screenshot of your text and I took it as you said that it can. So it may not be all of Tim's fault, but for this purpose, let's blame Tim because he deserves it. So there was the ongoing saga of Twitch. I would like to hear from Tim now. I would very much appreciate a call in, and I will set up a time where we can either chat or you can send me a voicemail. So, because I'm fascinated by this, I would like to. Wouldn't it be funny if this podcast broke up a friendship? Oh yeah, I used to hang out with Frank, but I don't anymore because I mentioned that he liked Twitch. How dumb would that be? But it would be funny to me. So, Tim, I'm urging you, please call in and give me your side of the story. And also, I'd also like to hear how or what you're watching and what you're doing that it's on in the background. Again, my speculation, he's probably jerking off, but you never know. He could be writing Juggalo lyrics. Who knows? Again, follow us on all of our social medias. PW the Podcast for everything. PWthepodcast.com. I'm going to put up a poll. Should I keep doing this? Did you like this? Should I keep going with the podcast? Could I be funny on a weekly basis? I have my own opinion, and it's not a very high one of myself. So we'll see what you say, because as we go forward, I didn't really expect to ever do this by myself, but I'm going to give it a shot. So we'll see how it goes. So go to pwthepodcast.com. Let me know, should I keep going with this, or should I just let this thing rest and maybe move on to something else in my life? Fine. Maybe I'll start showing dogs with Bobo. I'm going to start honing in on what he loves. So, or maybe I'll just become a dog show fanatic. Like, I'll start painting my face like a fucking bulldog or something like that, and start showing up with signs. What could I do? What sign? Like, like the NFL, the defense dog, like two signs. I don't know. I'm gonna have to put some more thought into that one, because that may be my next move. I'm just gonna become a dog show fanatic. We'll see. Who knows? But anyways, thanks for listening. And pwthepodcast.com, go on the poll, go to our social media, please sign up, share our posts. Maybe we can get some more listeners here, and bring them into the fold. I'm probably going to try to maybe have some guests on, but we'll see what's coming up. And like I said, I'll let you know on there what the next move here is. So again, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday.